Did you know the American dollar traces its roots back to a silver mine in Bohemia? In 1519, a count named Hieronymus Schlick struck it rich by discovering a vein of silver near his estate. He minted his own coins, named Joachim's thalers after the valley. These thalers, as they were nicknamed, became hugely popular around the world. From the Italian talero to the Ethiopian talari, many countries adopted similar names for their large silver coins. But here's where it takes a turn. After gaining independence from Britain, the American colonies faced a question: why continue using the British pounds and shillings? The Continental Congress decided to forge a new path, one that symbolized their break from the crown. And that's how the dollar, a word with surprising European origins, became the currency of the United States. That being said, there's a further dimension to this story. Well, during the 1700s, London threw a wrench in the colonies' reliance on silver. To keep gold and silver flowing into Britain, they outlawed exporting their own currency, even to their American kin. This forced the colonists to look elsewhere for coins. Luckily, just south of the border, Spain was minting vast quantities of silver at the Casa de Moneda de Mexico, the oldest mint in the Americas that's still operating today. These Spanish silver coins, officially called pesos, were worth 8 reals. That's why pirates called them pieces of 8. But for the colonists, they were simply dollars. No one knows for sure where the dollar sign, rachauns, comes from, but some theories link it directly to these pesos. One theory suggests the peso abbreviation, PS, got scrunched together by busy bookkeepers over time. Another theory connects it to the symbol on the back of the coin, a pillar of Hercules with an S-shaped banner wrapped around it. However, coins remained scarce in the colonies. Most of the existing ones ended up shipped back to Europe to pay for imported goods. This lack of currency was stifling the local economy, especially in places like Philadelphia. In 1729, a young printer named Benjamin Franklin saw this problem firsthand. Instead of the confusing British system of pounds, shillings, pence, and farthings, the Founding Fathers envisioned a clean break. They craved a currency that mirrored the fresh start America represented. Gone were the days of a convoluted system that required complex calculations and memorization. Their vision was a system based on the elegant simplicity of the decimal system, which was revolutionizing measurements across Europe. This revolutionary thinking extended beyond just the value of the currency. Thomas Jefferson, a man of reason and enlightenment, even suggested calling the subdivisions cents, derived from the Latin word for 100. The design of these new coins further reflected this spirit of innovation. America had just thrown off the shackles of monarchy and elitism, and the Founding Fathers wanted the imagery on their money to represent the ideals of the new republic, not the faces of powerful individuals. So, what symbols did they choose to adorn these coins? We'll get into that next, but here's a hint. It wasn't a gallery of presidents or kings. As bad as the greenback situation sounds, things were far worse in the Confederacy. The Confederate government printed an astounding amount of their own currency, Confederate state dollars, at a rate more than double the Union's output. This reckless printing caused their value to plummet so rapidly that by 1865, a $10 Confederate note could only buy you a measly 1 or 2 cents worth of goods. Incidentally, this $10 bill, printed in Louisiana, was nicknamed the Dixie, a reference to the French word for 10. Some believe this is how the area around New Orleans earned the moniker Dixieland, and how the South in general became known as the Land of Dixie. Both Dixies and greenbacks shared a huge characteristic. They weren't backed by gold or silver. Their value rested solely on the promise that the issuing government would redeem them if they won the war. With the North's decisive victory, Confederate dollars became worthless overnight, just scraps of paper littering the battlefield. However, the greenback emerged from the war surprisingly strong. It had gained the public's trust, and most people opted not to redeem them for precious metals. This was a turning point. America had finally embraced a federally regulated paper currency. Ironically, the man behind the greenback, Salmon P. Chase, would later have a change of heart. Now a Supreme Court justice, he issued a ruling in 1870 that declared the federal government lacked the constitutional power to force people to use paper money. It's tempting to speculate that this decision might have been influenced by the fact that his own face had recently been booted off the $1 bill in favor of George Washington's. Thankfully, this ruling was overturned a few years later. Though his greenback legacy remained, Salmon Chase would eventually secure his permanent place on American currency. In 1918, his portrait graced the rarely seen $10,000 bill, the largest denomination intended for public use. The next significant leap forward for the dollar wouldn't come peacefully, but through the crucible of another war. America emerged from World War II a titan on the world stage. Its industrial might and economic stability were undeniable. This newfound dominance translated into the financial realm as well. In a landmark decision in 1945, the US dollar dethroned the British pound sterling as the world's reserve currency. Imagine a giant vault filled with the currencies of different countries. Now, picture that most of the money in that vault is US dollars. That's essentially what happened. Banks and governments worldwide started holding more dollars than any other currency. They even used the dollar's value as a benchmark for their own currencies. This global trust in the dollar had a ripple effect on its design throughout the 20th century. The connection between the dollar and gold, once a cornerstone of the financial system, gradually weakened. Finally, in 1971, the Nixon administration severed this tie completely. The US dollar officially became a fiat currency, meaning its value wasn't tied to gold, but rather to the public's faith in the American government's ability to manage its finances. While this concept might sound risky at first glance, it actually gave the US more flexibility to navigate economic crises. For example, now the government strategically prints more money to combat the financial fallout anytime. Interestingly, this shift in the dollar's status coincided with a change in the faces adorning our money. It's probably not a coincidence. We started seeing more and more portraits of figures who inspired trust and confidence in the American system. Don't feel too bad for Andrew Jackson, though. Despite his removal, history buffs know him as Old Hickory, a president with a strong personality. Ironically, he vehemently opposed paper money throughout his life, so he probably wouldn't have appreciated his image gracing the $20 bill anyway. However, the decision to replace him with Harriet Tubman was ultimately delayed by the Trump administration. As Americans, we often take the dollar for granted. We treat it almost like a natural element, as fundamental as earth, air, or water. But forget its everyday presence for a moment. The dollar, like any human invention, was meticulously designed for a specific purpose. Over time, we've constantly reshaped it to adapt to changing needs and circumstances. Just like we mentioned the Dixie, the Confederate $10 note that became practically worthless after the Civil War. This rapid decline in value shows a crucial aspect of currency, its purchasing power. While a dollar might seem like a fixed unit, its ability to buy things can fluctuate dramatically over time. If you'd like to watch a video on history to see just how far a dollar could go in different eras, comment below. You'll honestly be surprised by what a dollar could once get you, and maybe a little scared by what it gets you now. As we come to the end, one thought stands out above all else. We all must agree that the dollar can be a source of stress, greed, and hardship. Yet, it's also fueled hope, progress, and prosperity. Without a stable national currency, could America have declared independence or even eradicated slavery? The answer is likely no. The more we understand the dollar's fascinating journey, the better equipped we are to control it and leverage its power for good. So the next time you hold a greenback, take a moment to appreciate its rich history. See you in the next video.